Hello friends, and welcome to this two-part series about film photography scanning. In this first part, I will show you an example of what quality of scans I received from a film lab. I was literally shocked because the quality was so bad. I couldn't believe that Pentax K2 camera and Kodak E100 film stock could produce such a poor results. I managed okay. If there is no issue on my side, then the issue should be on the lab's side. And after some experimentation, I realized that I was right, and I managed to kind of revive 8-bit JPEGs, which were provided by the lab. So let's dive into it, and I'll show you some examples what was provided to me. Let's compare. You can see the colors are so muddy and washed out. Some of the images have contrast, the same image don't have contrast, and there is like no color differentiation in between those two. So this is what you can expect from a regular film lab. This was scanned in Thailand, but I will show you also another roll which was scanned in Japan, because depending on where you live, you will receive scans from different type of scanners, and each lab has its own preset because they all use presets to save time. Let's be honest, it's a business, so they need to do it quickly. No one will play around with all the settings for each individual photo. All they can do is just to change the light density. Nobody will add any extra details unless you can find such a lab. The same image, two different scanners, two different colors, two different blacks, two different contrasts. I like the Frontier scanner better than the Noritsu on like 90% of the images. Only some look really nice on Noritsu, but generally it's not a good solution to scan the same negative twice in different labs, because it's like twice the money, twice the time. And anyways, you wouldn't be like 100% satisfied with results. I'll take these photographs from Noritsu scanner and I'll show you what I managed to do with them by myself. 1, 2, you can see the light here and the color temperature is just correct. So this was manually done with Negative Llab Pro from the existing 8-bit JPEGs which were provided from the lab. So this is my image, this was provided from the lab. Huge difference. Again, my image, the one that was provided from a lab. And so on. Some images have a huge difference, like this one. Sometimes it was possible even to recover crushed shadows and blacks and reduce the contrast. Not on all images, but it worked more often than not. Amazing film stock. Everything is blue, everything is just not as I imagined. And this is exactly how I remember that place. Exact colors, exact everything, pure white. The film stock in its full potential. Well, you want to know how to do it, and that's the most exciting part. Let me show you. All you have to do is to import your images into Lightroom. So I open this photo, then I will go full screen because I want to see as much as possible during my editing process. And to open it, you just need to press Ctrl-Alt-N. So here in the type, you need to choose positive. Next I choose TIFF scan, and for color model I will use Noritsu because this image was from Noritsu scanner. Presaturation I always leave at default, and border you don't need to bother because I believe it should already be cropped. There wouldn't be any excessive information from any side of your image. And then you press Analyze one positive. It will analyze it and it will provide you something like this. And here is where all the magic happens. In Negative Llab Pro you should select not standard but NLP neutral. it will lift all the shadows and blacks and give you more dynamic range in your photo, so it wouldn't be over contrast. And here under the tone profiler, I always choose linear. The third option that I most often do not change is the white balance, and here I go for auto mix. So after I've set my white balance, after I set profile and settings, now it's time to play around with everything else. And here we go. First, I can experiment with brightness. If the image is too dark, I just lift the brightness up, and maybe I'll even reduce a little bit of contrast. And what I like to do is to add some lights and to add some whites. This will make the brighter areas pop up more, and it will look really beautiful. You can always compare before after. As you can see, it's already like much better. All these cross shadows opened, there is a shop behind her, and you cannot see anything. But when I see after, you can already start seeing a lot of inside this shop. That's it. Then you can play with the darks if you're not satisfied, but you need to be very careful because you don't want to go too much. It wouldn't look natural. And maybe also a little bit of blacks, just like a tiny bit. If you don't want to see too much of a green, you can just add a little bit of magenta to even out everything. And what I like is the HSL model. By default, it sets to natural, but also there are like crystal and Pacon options. My favorite is Pacon, but I always go to just 50% of amount, not to overdo it. And this adds some like crispiness to an image. And I believe that's it. I click apply. So this is what we had in the beginning, and this is what we achieved after just a few minutes of post-production with Negative Llab Pro. As you can tell, the difference is huge. Now, how to work with the series? It's almost identical. And when you're working with Negative Llab Pro, just make sure that you open at least one image full screen. And then let's press Ctrl-Alt-N. And now, as you can see, it already gives us an option to analyze not one positive, but 3 positives, and make sure that you tick this raw analysis button here, because it will process it as a raw, so more balanced. It works really, really great. A border, I don't care. Raw analysis, analyze. It will take a while, and boom, it will give you some kind of result like this one. And if you go to the Roll tab, you will see that you will have a new role created for you, like analysis. If you will scan the whole role, it will like add 24 or 36, 37, as many frames as you have, and you can change them by these 2 buttons here in the bottom. That's why I told you to open at least one image full screen, because if you don't, you will see only small previews in Lightroom, which is not very convenient to do. I'll go to Advanced tab, and you can see that here it already chooses everything by default for me. This density slider, sometimes it lifts the shadows, sometimes it doesn't, so just need to experiment with it. And let's go here again. So we have linear, everything. I'll just make the images a little bit brighter, so brightness goes to 10, lights goes maybe to 6, whites to 7. I'll choose Pacon straight away, and I will choose Auto Mix. Boom! You can see this white balance Auto Mix makes a real magic, because now the colors pop and look completely different from what it was in the beginning. And let's set it to 50%. Maybe I'll even reduce a little bit of a contrast like this, and it seems to me that the brightness is too high. And what I prefer to do, I just press copy here, copy all of the settings, go to the other image and I press paste. From here, after you've pasted the settings, just tweak it a little bit to make sure that it fits each and every image. And yeah, that's how you do it. Then you go to the other one. If you would like to change something here, you can do it. Sometimes it works straight out of the box, but I prefer to paste. For me, it looks much better. Reduce a little bit of brightness and that's cool. I press apply and yeah, that's it. And now you can see the difference. For example, this image, this is what I managed to recover from it. Again, before and after. This one is a huge difference. Look, it was too blue, too dark. Now it looks natural. Exactly as I saw it with my eyes. In the next part, I will show you how I started to scan my own photographs at home using Valoi system. And I will show everything that's included in this box, as well as my exact setup of how I use Fuji X-T4 and Valoi 120 to scan the negatives that I receive from the lab. This device is great because it supports both 35mm film as well as 120 rolls, and it takes very little time to process each roll, maybe a couple of minutes. And the best and the most important part, Valoi gives you an opportunity to change whatever you want in the post-production and make your film scans look as close to how it was intended by Kodak, Fuji, Ilford or whatever brand of film you use. Stay tuned and see you in the next part.